I said, and I have bruises, and I'm actually bleeding, and I'm saying, if you want to do another, do it yourself, right? So that night, I ended up in his office, and he ripped my contract in quarters and threw it in the wastebasket.
We're here to honor one of the disrespected genres that has now gained respect, the spaghetti western. And we are lucky today to have a couple of the premier stars of spaghetti westerns. And what's ironic about this is maybe 20 or 30 spaghetti westerns made the cross to come over to the United States, and we got to see those and we loved them. But there were close to 700 western films of spaghetti westerns that were shot. And now they're gaining respect, and we are able to now see them on DVD and even Blu-ray, which is great. They look gorgeous, a lot of them. They were widescreen with fantastic music, and some of them weren't so good, but...
Tell me about it.
And so somebody just said, tell me about it, and I'm going to have that person come up and tell you about it. His name is Robert Woods. Hello, amigo. Good to see you. Grab a mic. How did somebody like you, who's like an American actor, get to Italy to be part of the original movement of spaghetti westerns?
Well, I got to Paris first, and I worked in the theater in Paris, and somebody saw a play and took me for my first western to Barcelona, a company called Balcaza. It was before Clint, and it was actually a film before Clint's. It was sold to MGM, and it sort of opened the genre, really. So,
and what was the film, and who was the man who spotted you to ask you to go over?
It was Alfonso Balcaza, and the film is called Pistolero de Arizona, or El Rancho de los Implacables, or... I think the final thing was $5,000 on the Ace. I think the final title was.
Were you signed for the one film, or did they have a multiple picture?
No, he signed me to a contract for 5 pictures. But the first day that I was shooting, we went out in the desert, and I shot this long master of falling off a cliff and getting a horse. I mean, really, almost Hitchcockian, this thing. And I got up, and he said, "Oh, that was really good. Let's do another." And I said, and I have bruises, and I'm actually bleeding, and I'm saying, if you want to do another, do it yourself, right? So that night, I ended up in his office, and he ripped my contract in quarters and threw it in the wastebasket. That was it. A few weeks later, after we finished the film, because we did wrap the film, I went to Madrid, and I was played Henry Fonda's pilot in Battle of the Bulge. Some of you have probably seen that. And while I was there, I got an agent, William Morris, and I get a call from Alfonso saying, we need an extra, we just sold it to MGM, we need an extra action scene. And I said, call my agent. I love that. So he did, and actually my agent got me actually $10,000 more than I was paid for the movie. So to shoot like 3 days of stagecoach and mud. And then I came back and everything was fine, and I started the career of spaghetti westerns. So after that first day of shooting this extra stunt thing, I went into his office, and on his desk was my contract taped very nicely.
Filmed in beautiful but dangerously rugged terrain, this spectacular film adds a new dimension to the tradition of great Western epics about the wild and heroic adventures of 7 brothers.
But it was a wonderful place to work. It was a wonderful place to be, and it was just a wonderful place to stay. Though Clint wasn't enamored with it. Clint wanted to come back. Every time I talked to Clint, oh, look at me under the beard and the hat. But he didn't want to stay. So he came back. His original contract was with Papi and Colombo to do 3 films. He refused. He came back home. So they sold his contract to Grimaldi. The $13,000 that he got for the first film became $100,000 for the following film. Grimaldi came and offered him $100,000 to do the picture. And he said, God, I love Italy. I love the beard. Love this beard. And the rest is history. Clint really, I mean, he popped it bigger than anybody. I'm very pleased to be his friend, and I'm very pleased that spaghetti westerns were an advent in all our lives.
Now, while you were over there, they made so many more of those than we ever imagined over here. And with American names, even when they weren't Americans, they would give them an Americanized name. I noticed in your credits, you're on one poster, it's Robert Wood, on another, it's Robert Woods.
Well, the first film that I did, they had it all cut together. We were having a screening of a rough cut, really, and with credits and everything. And I looked up, and it was Robert Wood. I said, "No, I'm Robert Woods." He said, "I'm not changing the posters, and I'm not changing that." So okay, I'm Robert Wood. That's how it happened, you know. And then later, I was trying to become Robert Woods again. So finally, it worked. Sometimes. And sometimes it didn't, because I still had, in the end, had films. For example, this film here, Blackjack, that I did in Israel for Gianfranco Baldanello. And he'll always know me as Robert Wood. I did a film with Billy Berger and later with him. And I look, and it's Robert Wood again. I'm trying to get away from that. You know, I lost my S in Italy. Yeah.
Well, you were born in Colorado on a ranch, so
Yes.
you were already a good hand when you went over there.
Well, I knew how to ride, and you know, you grew up on a horse, you know, basically. I don't know. I was a theater actor, but you know, I went there, and it was stuff that was natural for me to do, really.
Well, as we look at them here, we're used to westerns with quarter horses,
Yeah.
and all their horses seem to just prance around a little bit. Is that disconcerting to a cowboy?
No, because I mean, a horse is a horse. It's a horse, of course.
Well, so they treated you all like kings over there in Italy, didn't they?
Yes, it was like being worshipped somewhere. It was that good, you know.
Do you miss that?
I do. I do. But the one thing I do really miss is and I talked about this at the Spaghetti Western Festival we had, I don't know, a couple of years ago, is the collaborative spirit of European pictures. They're like independent pictures. They're not like, you know, God help you if you touch a light here, if you're an actor. You know, I mean, it's too segregated Hollywood for my taste. But it's collaborative, and that's what I loved about it. When you left a film, you were leaving your family behind. It was one of those kind of experiences. It was good. It was really good.
Surging conflict and suspense mixed violently with high-spirited action in 7 Guns for the McGregors.
Some of these films, the score meant so much, and I think one of your best performances is the 7 Guns for the McGregors, where you're one of the McGregor sons, and you're fighting off, of course, a band of Mexican banditos.
With a bunch of Scotch people with bagpipes and stuff. It was great.
You were terrific in that, and Ennio Morricone, the maestro.
Morricone, but he didn't actually, you know.
He did it under the name of Dan Vadas, which was one of his pseudonyms. So not only did the stars have pseudonyms, but so did the composers, so did the directors.
But the wicked truth about all of that is that he didn't write the music for Fistful of Dollars.
You're done.
That was done by Alexandroni, the guy who whistles on it. He's the one who composed that really driving music. He had done a concert with 2 other composers, and they agreed among the 3 of them that if they do westerns, this is before they did westerns, they were they could share the music that each of them had written, and so that's why Morricone ended up with that as the theme. Morricone's a brilliant composer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he stole anything. They agreed upon this. So, but it is really Alexander that wrote the music for.
Alexander was here and did a performance at the Autry with us. There's a big panel back here. They had a wonderful Sergio Leone exhibit and tribute to him here, where his daughter came and Claudia Cardinelli came too. Oh my God! Not only did he whistle, but he did the as well. And
everybody
he said usually it was done on different tracks, but he was live, and he said, I'm going to try to do them all at the same time. And it was a great performance, and the crowd went wild.
A wonderful guy, too, a really terrific human being. Yeah, the music made these films, really, if you think about it. You take the music out of most of these films, and it's an adventure. But the music drove the film. The music that the composers we had for these things were brilliant. Some of them brilliant.
And it was so different from what had come before.
Exactly.
Which was the big Western orchestral sound, where these had unusual instruments and voices and characters. It was as much a part of the film instead of just underscoring of the action. It was another character.
That's true.
And
That's true.
Man, it made it different. It just kicked. And I know that one of your films, El Puro, you're doing a sequel to.
Well, they took me to Almeria last year to honor me for my work, and they said, just as a gag, let's shoot a sequel. Let's shoot a sequel to Pecos. And I said, well, I got to do all that makeup. No, I'm not doing that again. So I said, how about El Puro? They shoot me off my horse at the end of the film, but you don't know whether I died or not. So we did this mock trailer, half a day of shooting in the village, in Leone's village in Almeria. And it's become so internet successful that we're actually doing the movie in September. And Brett Halsey is playing a sheriff in it. We're doing it ensemble, as they say.
Well, we will be looking for that, Robert. Thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see you.